I'm glad to see you here today. I was at the Harlem Globetrotters game last night, and this is more to capacity than the UCF Arena. That's all I'm trying to say. But thanks for being here. I hope you got one of these when you came in, a worship folder, bulletin, call it what you like. For those of you that are part of the baby dedication, it's a souvenir. Take it home, put it in your baby book. But there's lots of stuff going on here at the church. And if you are a guest with us here today, thank you so much for stopping by. I'm Pastor Tom. You're always welcome here. And we hope that if you don't have a church home, that you would consider friends. These are some pretty good people. And they've been really nice to me and to my family. And many of you would say the same thing. So if you're looking for a place to worship, please know we've got a place, we've got a seat with your name on it, so to speak. So, yeah, I hope you'll take this home and read it, because there's some really important things taking place, including Access's meeting later this afternoon. And so those of you that are part of our junior high and middle school, high school ministry, plan to be here at 5 o'clock. We are in the middle of a series called The Human Recondition. We're headed to Romans chapter 7 in just a second, if you want to flip there. This afternoon, some of you know George and Yvonne Tia. George's mom passed away 10 days or so ago in Egypt, and there is a memorial service for her here this afternoon at 1:30. If you'd like to be here to support George and his family, that would be awesome. Something else to tell you, if I can get the clicker to work. There it is. Back up. Thank you. Wednesday night, our community groups meet. We have two groups, one that meets in Cypress Spring, one that meets in Stony Brook. If you are not a part of one of those groups, please do that. And we also have a group that meets on Monday nights. Community groups are a great way for you to make friends. And this is for children all the way through adults. So whether you're knee-high to a duck or older in the ages, you're more than welcome to participate in one of these groups. The group that I'm a part of has between 20 and 28 people. The other group has 25 or so. Plenty of room for you and plenty of food to go around. So the information is in your worship folder, who you need to contact, so we know that you're coming. Starting next week, we go to one worship service. It'll be 10:45 this time, each time. Child care and all those things will be provided. So if you come at 9 o'clock, I'll assume that you're here to help set up chairs. Thank you very much. All right, we're in Romans chapter 7. We're at verse 9. And if you want to follow along in the worship folder, that'd be really cool. There's an opportunity there for you to take notes if that's something that you enjoy doing and you find it beneficial. Today's message is entitled, Have You Ever Felt Trapped? And if you've ever been trapped or lost back in the days before we had GPS, you know what it's like to be in a situation where you feel like you can't get out of. And what I have learned in my own journey, and part of what I'm sharing is how my own journey, I kind of worked my way into a corner spiritually in my own spiritual journey. And even there, felt trapped and needed to get out of that. And we're going to talk today a little bit about what it is to get out of behaviors or situations, choices that we've made that cause us to feel trapped. This is verse 9. Once I was alive apart from the law, but when the commandment came, sin sprang to life, and I died. And I found that the very commandment that was intended to bring me life actually brought me death. You see, sin, this was the phrase from last week, seizing the opportunity afforded by the commandment, it deceived me. Sin deceived me, and through the commandment, it actually put me to death. So then, the law is holy, and the commandment is holy, and it's righteous and good. But did that which was good then become death to me? You're dead to me? By no means. But in order that sin could be recognized as sin, sin had to produce death in me through what was good, so that through the commandment sin might become utterly sinful. Are you confused yet? Seems like Paul, and this is a really interesting section for Paul. Paul was a tough nut. I mean, he was a man's man. He killed people. He chased people down. He beat them to death for being a Jesus follower. Paul was not a sissy. And this is a section where Paul is really bearing his soul in this letter that he's writing to the Roman church. And he's trying to say, look, I just don't get this. I don't want to do this, but I do it. I do want to do these things, but I can't. And I can't figure this out. And the law does this, and it makes me feel this way. And I'm just really, really confused. And it seems like he's speaking in a circle. But if you and I will take the time today to consider what's being woven in between the words, we might have a better understanding not only of what he's saying, but how it might help us. We live in a culture that lives for the moment. The momentary fix, the momentary high The momentary thrill. That's why we'll stand in line for an hour and 15 minutes for a 45-second ride. It's because we live for that. Oh, I can make all of you right now just want to poke your mind's eye out. It's a small world. See? I can sing it in every language. It sounds just the same. It sounds exactly the same. And we'll stand there for days. We'll pay an absorbent amount of money to go and only get to do 4 or 5 things in one day. Why? Because we tend to live for the moment. We want the quick fix, and we want it now. Friday night, I had some people over to my house. These teenagers. I've got this problem at my house. I have teenagers. And teenagers keep dropping over to my house. Okay? Unexpected. And I wanted popcorn. And in 2 minutes and 30 seconds, I had popcorn. I live for the moment. Got to have it now. Okay? And that's the American way of life. We go through the drive-thru. It's not really a drive-thru, by the way. It's a drive-by. Just want you to know that. Okay. Our mentality is that there ought to be a quick fix for everything. This is the Bill Cosby show mentality, that in 22 minutes and a few commercials, the problem ought to be taken care of. We live as if our lives is a sitcom. That, we have a crisis at 7:02, and by 7:29, the problem should be dealt with and should be over with. But the problem is that doesn't happen because those people that are giving you the problem still live with you or still work with you. Because people don't just go away in 22 minutes and a few commercials. It'd be great if they did, but they don't. And so this idea that we can have a quick fix, whether it's relational, spiritual, physical, behavioral, to think that we can somehow just snap our fingers and it go away, it isn't reality. Even Dr. Phil has to have people on 3 and 4 times because it's just not working for him, okay? Man, some of you watch that show way too much. There are no quick fixes. There's a quick way to get in trouble, but rarely is there a quick way to get out of trouble. So that's what often happens. We find ourselves stuck, and we want to get out, and we don't know what to do. We wish it would go away. We wish we could call on Tinkerbell and her pixie dust and make it all go away, but it doesn't work like that. That's not real life. That's why it's in a cartoon. You and I have got to figure out how to survive the hydrochloric gel. The what? That's the scientific term for quicksand. See, it sounds a lot better when you just say quicksand. See, some of you are like, those of you that are teenagers are like, why do I take chemistry? What's chemistry for? Chemistry is worthless. My daughter posted this last week, chemistry is a waste of paper and ink. Okay? But if you understand chemistry, it can save your life if you get stuck in this stuff. Here's why. Quicksand is the combination of clay and usually either sand or silt. And the clay and the sand or silt combine to make one substance. They get mixed up to the point where they make one substance. That's what we call quicksand. But the water that's in quicksand has to be salt water. You cannot make quicksand out of water. You can make it out of salt water, but not regular water, not fresh water. Why? Because the salt plays a part in the whole process. When the stuff is mixed together, the salt water, the clay, and let's say the sand, when it's all mixed together into one substance, that's when it's quicksand. And when you step on it, it forces the elements to separate again into water, clay, and sand. And in that process, that's why it allows you to sink in it. But as soon as you sink in it, the salt, which is in the water, causes this word, flocculation, which I'm not even sure you need to say in public. But what happens is the salt makes the chemicals in the clay and the sand combine back into one substance, and that's what causes it to grab on. And that's what makes it cause the vacuum field. Okay? So that's why you have to have salt water, because it's the salt that triggers that response. So you have one substance, you step on it, it goes to 3 substances, and then it immediately goes back to one substance, and that's why it grabs a hold and holds onto you. But if you know the truth about quicksand, you can survive. Your body is less dense than quicksand. So what does that mean? Your body floats. Those big boats that you guys and we all go over to Cape Canaveral and we jump on, they weigh billions and billions and billions of pounds, but they float because they displace more water than they weigh.